Our guest on the pod today is Tayler Persons. The Indiana native and Ball State alum's pro career actually began in the Dutch Basketball League in 2019. That 2019-2020 season was cut short by the COVID shutdown of March 2020, but not before he finished the season as the assist leader in the league and was named to the All-FIBA Euro Cup team. He has since played in Germany, Poland, Hungary, and now in France, where he joins us from today. But before we get to the interview with Tayler, just a reminder to help support the pod by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Those are some of the free, easy things to do to help us. You can also find all our content on EXPATHOOPS.com, as well as merchandise, so you can wear our logo with pride. And for our audio listeners, you can find exclusive extra content on YouTube. But like I said, we have a lot to get into with Tayler, so let's welcome to Expat Hoops. Welcome, Tayler.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So you're sitting down with us from France today, but there was a point in time that you were in college.
Yes, sir.
We were talking, really good career, two schools, Northern Kentucky first, but then Ball State, put up great numbers. You're still among, the higher achievers, so to speak, at Ball State. And it's sort of one of those things that was probably at some point you had to start thinking about playing professionally. Like you're pretty good, clearly, it's an understatement. And at what point was it that it became like a dream to play professional basketball to when it became more of a reality of like, okay, this is how I'm actually going to do it? And what did that look like for you?
Well, like you said, I always dreamed of it, but about my junior season, probably when I started getting approached by agents and, they kind of go through the process of talking to you and asking you, hey, we would like to represent you after your senior season. And doing all those phone calls with different people and, seeing what they have to say, I knew that I had a good chance to become a professional. And like I said, it's always been a dream since I was, a little kid. I know everybody says that, but I always knew that I was going to make it just because, I love this game and it's been my life forever. But like I said, my junior year, it kind of started becoming a reality. And, got an agent, found him. It's like a difficult process. You got to kind of find the right guy. You got to listen to people, trying to talk to some of their clients to see how they're treated. And as being an American going and playing in Europe, it's kind of nerve wracking to, trust somebody with your career when you don't really know how the whole process is coming out of college, being my fourth year as a pro now, I understand it a lot better than I did. And, I was lucky enough to be put in a good situation my first year to, kind of help me for the rest of my career. Because that's how it is out here. You got to build your reputation and, just keep stacking good years and then you'll move up. And if you can withstand some of the negatives of being over here, like being away from family and things like that, you can have a long and good career if you continue to produce. So, yeah, my junior year, it really became a reality to me. And 4 years down the road, so it's good. It's been going good for me so far.
Yeah, and you'd become tested pretty early, actually, in your overseas career. You were in a good country. I'm sure there probably was some, period where you had to adapt. But the 2019-2020 season, as we said off the top, it was when COVID broke out. So take us through your first year, not only from say COVID had never happened in terms of what your transition was like to living abroad in a place that you've never lived before, getting to know new teammates and becoming a professional. And then I guess the second part of that is, inevitably dealing with not only do you get that under your belt early on, then COVID happens. So take me through that first season and what that was like for you to deal with that first and then the second half.
Well, my first season was, it was very good for me. Like you said, some things were challenging, but I had a really good, college coach in James Whitford, and he had me prepared what it was going to be like as a professional standpoint. Going into it as like living abroad and getting accustomed to their culture and stuff, I was really lucky because the Netherlands, honestly, today is probably one of my favorite countries to live in because for Americans, everyone really speaks English, so it was very easy to maneuver and, go to the grocery store, ask what this is, and they'd be able to tell me. So that was good. But my whole mindset my first year was like, I just want to hoop and, I want to have this best year possible so I can move up. And that was my main goal the whole year. So I really wasn't, as I look back into that year, I wish I kind of would have been out more, not going out, but like seeing things, just diving myself into culture like I had these last 3 years. But I was so focused on, really just having a good year that was going to the gym as much as I could and just coming home and like really relaxing and keeping my mind on basketball. But it was good. It was an adjustment though for sure. They play different basketball over here. They the people are a little bit different. My first year I had a roommate. I didn't have my own apartment, so we shared a car. So I had to get used to these things, and I actually got accustomed to living the Dutch life and riding a bicycle because that's how they do it over there. They all have there's more bikes than there are, people. So um, I, I rode a bike to practice almost every day. So that was part of me that kind of, went with the culture. So it was good. The best part about it was I got to play in the FIBA Europe Cup and I went to, multiple countries throughout that time frame and got to really see Europe and, really establish myself and make, have confidence of like I can play over here and be super successful. So it was a good year for me, and it was difficult at times, being away from my family because I'm really big with family, and I love them and everything. But I just looked at it as my job, and my love. Basketball has always been a love of mine. I love it to death, and it's hard for me to live without it right now. It's hard for me being hurt. So, but it was good. It was a great year, and I'm lucky to be in that spot. So be in that spot for my first year. But towards the end of the season, when COVID hit, it was a little bit weird at times because we didn't know what to expect, and we had Americans that throughout our league left right away, and we were like gonna stay, and so we just all hopped on a plane, and they thought we were gonna come back, and so I left a lot of stuff there actually that I wish I could have got back, but so it was kind of crazy.
But you did manage to come home, and even though you wouldn't necessarily finish out that season, you do go back in 2020 to 21 season. You go to Germany.
Hmm.
Not only is that in the basketball Bundesliga, it's a high level league.
Hmm.
Usually kind of physical, but also take me through. I think you kind of alluded to it just a moment ago that in your more recent stops, you've kind of really made more of an effort to acclimate. I mean, not to say that you had anything against
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Netherlands, but you were there
I
to
left it there.
basically your first year and try to keep your job and everything. But obviously, as you got more comfortable,
Yeah,
what
for
was it
sure.
like for you, not only on the court in Germany, but also in terms of what you would do off the court and how you kind of changed things up from your first season, where you really kind of were going out and seeing the sight, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that year actually, to be honest, was the tougher year for me because I had my wife there. She was pregnant with my son now, and COVID was so still a thing that everything was kind of shut down. Restaurants were open every now and then, and we would try to get out and do things as much as possible, but we didn't really get a great chance to go and explore as much as we really wanted to. With her and being pregnant, it was kind of hard, and wanted to take care of things. Like you said, it was a good situation there, good country and all that. But I really wish I could have explored more of the country. But with COVID and the restrictions and this, and they don't want you to be around people in case you catch COVID, and then we have to, miss games and do that whole thing. So it's kind of stressful time, and it was very difficult to play in the games with no crowd. It was so weird to me. I'm a passionate player. Ever watch me play? Like I love being with the crowd. Talking to them, getting them hype, and just being there made it feel real awkward. And that happened because I started the year there in Germany, and then I finished in Poland. It was the same in both places. No fans, so the games just felt like in college when we'd have a close scrimmage and nobody could come. So it was weird and it was difficult in that, side of basketball for sure.
And so you didn't just mention it just now. You finished the year in Poland. What
Mhm.
led you to basically make the switch? And we'll ask you a little bit about what your experience was like in Poland. One of the things that we've consistently heard is that something's going on with like the highway system and that travel can be a little difficult in Poland.
Yeah, it is
So I wanted
difficult
to
for
see if that
sure.
was your experience as well.
Yeah, it is difficult, but we had a good situation. We had like a big bus, like a sleeper bus. I was just getting there and get knocked out, so I wouldn't really know. And again, I was during COVID, so we didn't really travel much. Our city was closed, no restaurants, no anything open, only the grocery stores and stuff like that. Couldn't go sit down. So kind of just stayed put. So I didn't get to really go out as much. But in the middle of the year in Germany, I started off having, a successful season. And how it happens in Germany, sometimes in Europe, it wasn't, I guess, the right fit for me. I had nothing but respect for the, organization, and we mutually, decided to part ways. And, I got a situation in Poland that was good for me and helped me, for my career. So it was good. It was difficult. It was my first taste of like seeing how the professional side of basketball is over here, and, what I need to do and what I need to, change, whatever. But, sometimes over here it's about being in the right fit, in the right situation more than anything. I would say if you talk to Americans, they would say that 10 times out of 10, you can get to a situation where they play a certain way and it doesn't fit the way you play, so it is what it is. I left there on good terms. Just had to happen. I'm glad, people go through that over here in Europe all the time. And, I experienced it early, and, really helped me. I think it's going to help me throughout my years because I understand the business side of this basketball game. And, it's a business. So if it's not fitting or working, they're going to ask, see what they can do. But I'm happy that I got to finish the year in Poland with a good team, and it really helped me, with my career. So it was good.
And that's definitely one of the things that can be handled a couple of different ways. It could be a good
Yeah, yeah,
situation
yeah.
that when it comes down to the end, or it could be one where there's some passive aggressive stuff where somebody's getting a phone call from their agent unaware that something's happening. So
Yeah, it's
really,
difficult. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like, I know you probably had multiple, conversation with people where it's different, it's not like that. I had nothing but respect. I'm not a person that, is gonna, if they don't, necessarily want me, or, it's not working out, hey, we can make a change if that's what has to be, the best for my career. And it is what it is. It was tough at first for me, obviously, because I didn't have a bad year. I felt like, I was having a successful year. Our team was struggling a little bit, but um, like I said, it is what it is. And went to a situation in Poland where, they needed me, and, helped me out. So it was good.
and so from a personal standpoint, like you said, family's big for you, and you made mention of the fact that
Hmm.
your wife was pregnant while you were there in Germany. On the
Hmm.
timeline, and welcoming your son, what was that like going through that at that point in time too, where you're in a place that's far away from home, and I'm sure you're comfortable to some degree, but it's not completely
Yeah.
comfortable, and then to have to go through that professionally as well. Was that kind of tough?
Yeah, that was tough. I would say that's probably the hardest thing, is because we had planned to have my son in Germany, met with a doctor, had to, they have a midwife, all that stuff set up kind of for us. And that was probably the thing that, made me upset the most, because they knew I had my baby coming and all that. So she went back, when I went to Poland, she went back to America to have the baby, because she didn't want to go to Poland, have to meet a whole new doctor. It's a little bit different, situation there medically, so came back home to have the baby. So I missed my son, the birth of my son, which was extremely difficult, because I felt like I should have been there. Very hard for me. Probably one of my biggest regrets in my life is that, because I can't ever get that back. I can't say I seen you, but I it is what it is. That's where I had to do for my family to go over there. But it was a very, very hard situation for me. I know it was, my wife wanted me there as well. But like I said, it's that's why, people, Americans, come over here, or, and they struggle, because these sacrifices that we have to make, people just think that, oh, we're professional athletes, you're making money, you're doing all these things. It's not necessarily, it is good a lot. I love it to death, but there are a lot of stuff that is hard for people, and that's why they can't last over here. You can't make those sacrifices and, keep doing it and doing it. And that was very hard for me, and makes me sad that, say I missed it, but it is what it is. I watched through FaceTime. Thanks for the, good technology that we have. And but I was there probably 2 weeks after he was born. It was at the end of the season, so it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, between FaceTime, I know it's not ideal, but at least of what it could have been, 10 or 20 years ago, much
Yeah,
better than what it could have been at that time. So it's good to hear that it
yeah.
worked out. to some degree.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, hey, it is what it is, like I said. But yeah, it was tough, but at least I got to, be a part of it in some way.
Yep. We have merch. Head over to the Expat Hoop Store where you'll find t-shirts, hoodies, masks, coffee mugs, pint glasses, and more.
It's one of many ways you can show support for the podcast, so head over there and pick up some merch. That link below is in the video description, or you can head over to our website, expathoops.com, and click merch. We offer a couple of different Expat Hoops logos, and we have men's, women's, and kids sizes, so you can get something for everyone.
Thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring Expat Hoops. We recently became a brand ambassador for them. SeatGeek is a ticket app that takes the confusion out of buying tickets. They offer a 0 to 10 score on each ticket to know if you're getting a good or a bad deal. Green means good, red means bad. You get the idea. It's a really easy way to get tickets to events. Plus, our viewers get $20 off their first ticket purchase with the Expat Hoops code. Click the link in the description to download the app. Remember the code Expat Hoops, EXPATHOOPS, all one word, to save yourself $20 off your first ticket purchase with SeatGeek.
In our house, when we use a VPN, we are sure to use NordVPN. NordVPN secures up to 6 devices and is compatible with Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS, and even your Wi-Fi router. Plus, it's no risk to your wallet. Head over to their website for pricing or contact customer support 24/7. And remember, your purchase is always safe with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the video description to use our code and make sure you're secure with NordVPN.
And so from there, you actually go to Hungary next. That's where you were last season. You've now kind of gone from a certain little pocket kind of in Europe to now in a different league entirely. Take us through a little bit about like what it was like in Hungary for you on the court and off the court, and if your family was there with you as well that season.
Yeah, it was. I'll backtrack a little bit. It was a great thing, for me being in Hungary. I loved it. I loved on the court. I loved off the court. It's probably it's definitely my best year, as a professional. Was in a great city, hour away from Budapest, which is, another really great city in Europe. But in the summer, prior to me getting the Hungarian, job, I was going through. It was kind of tough for me because I had the situation in Germany, and then I went to Poland, had a good season. I had in the summer had multiple interests with teams, which they were going through their guys, picking certain people, and didn't get the situations that I wanted or thought I should, get. And I just remember, like, dang, it was towards the end of the summer, and I'm like, I don't have a job yet, and really just not contemplating, but I'm like, hey, I have a kid now. I have to, take care of my son and my wife. So I just remember being at home, just getting done working out, talking with my wife and getting a call to go there. And like, wow, I'm just excited. They had a really good season the previous year. They were going to play in the FIBA Euro Cup. It was the perfect situation. I get there. And like I said, it was my best year on and off the court. Loved it as a family. My wife got there with my son probably a month and a half after I got there. And we was there the whole time. Had a great year, met some really great people, and really gave me my confidence that I needed. I always have been a confident player, but really helped me, put some things that I worked mentally in the summer on and to test on the court. So it was great. I loved it. Great country, passionate people, passionate fans. It was good.
So I got two directions I want to go here in terms of talking about what the
Yeah.
fans are like, but also again, kind of resuming the question of where you're kind of progressively probably seeing a little bit more and more as the stops that you're going to, and hopefully the COVID restrictions at this point are a little lighter. So what were the fan experiences like, and what was it like off the court in terms of you and your family getting to explore as well?
Fans were crazy. I'll tell you that. They were fans are very passionate there. They it kind of shocked me a little bit about how passionate they were. You go to some of these teams that fans are yelling at you the whole game. They're selling out their crowds. Some fans are booing their own team. It's just like kind of a little bit crazy there. But like I said earlier, I live for that. That's like kind of who I am. Talking trash talk, whatever it kind of is, like kind of fuels me, makes me play better, But it was good. It was different in different gyms, but there were some teams in there that were wild. Their fans were pretty wild, to say the least. I actually had situations in, throwing beer at us, stuff like that. Little crazy. Got a little wild a couple of times. I'm not gonna lie, but it was good. And off the court, it was definitely got to travel a lot more. Everything was open for the most part. Got to go to restaurants. My city I lived in was called Szeged. It was it's the second biggest or third biggest city in all of Hungary. So about I forget, like 300,000 people. So a lot of people there. So it was very nice for me, and got to go to Budapest a lot, which is, one of my favorite cities. It's beautiful there with all the architecture and being on the water, like, having that water like right there. And it's nice. It was great. It was great for my wife too. She really loved it. It was her first full year being over there. And it was our first year with our son, having a little, not newborn, he was 6 months when he came over there. So fairly new little guy running around there figuring it out. And that was fun for us because it was just me and my wife with him. We didn't have a babysitter. We don't have a babysitter over here, so it's constantly just us figuring out how to be a parent on our own. So it was good. It was great. It's been great so far.
One of the things that I'm going to move on to the next stop, but one of the things, just kind of preview this, is one of the things we've been asking some of our guests, and we do this as an extra, what your wildest overseas story is. So we'll allude to that right
we
now.
can say that. We can do that, yeah.
And but that's our little soft plug for it during the regular pod. But want to move on at least now to where you are in France. You're in a really good spot. France is an interesting country basketball wise. It's really on the rise. You're playing in Pro B, which in some countries, playing in like the quote unquote second tier league is a step down. However, in France, it's not really that. So
no, it's not at all.
And so again, this is sort of one of those things we've asked some of our past guests too, to kind of verbalize it in terms of what the difference is between A and B. But take us through your current season, what your expectations are, and what the fans are like, but also in terms of kind of distilling it down for the average American. What's the difference between Pro A and Pro B over there?
Well, yeah, like you said, Pro B over here is definitely not a step down. There's so many great teams and players here. Like you said, basketball is on the rise here in France. They're silver medal. Like, their basketball here is great. You see how many pros they have, how many EuroLeague players they have, all this and that. But yeah, it's definitely a great league. It's the best league that I've played in. Top minus, it's in the BBL, obviously, you have EuroLeague teams and Euro Cup teams, and here you don't have that. But probably being the second best league that I played in, top to bottom, because there's so many great players. Teams. It's physical. The way they play here is a lot different. The paint's real packed. But the difference between Pro A and Pro B, you can have more Americans on the Pro A team. There's bigger budgets, I'd probably say, in certain aspects. But the basketball wise, there's teams in our league that can, beat teams in the Pro A. That could happen at any point. The club that I'm on currently is one of the most traditional, best clubs in France, period. They had a rough years a couple years ago when they got relegated to the second division. But they're really the reason I signed here, because the expectation here is championship or nothing, essentially. We have two ways that we can get moved up to Pro A. Is you can win the regular season, or you can obviously win the playoffs. And so two teams get to go up. But when I talked with the coach and the GM and everything before the season, I signed really early. And the main reason was because of the culture here. The organization is like top class. It's the best situation I've been in that way, the basketball wise. And I wanted to be a part of a team that only thought about winning a championship, had no other goals. That's all they care about here. And that's what it's been really nice to see our guys on a team. Got a couple, really good veterans from France that, have played in the highest leagues, in the highest level, and all buying in and just, hey, we just want to win this regular season and win a championship and bring them back up to first division. And that's it's been great so far. Obviously I struggled a little bit, with this injury now. So I only got to play in my in the first game of the season and I got hurt, through the second quarter. I hurt my hamstring. I don't care that it's out. I tore my hamstring. I've been out, I think I got another month left probably if how my rehab goes. But, hurt in the second quarter of the first game. So it's been it's a little quick, it is what it is. But, excited to get back on there with my guys and just, compete for this championship because that's all that matters here. And, going to the fans here, it's crazy. They're passionate. They love it. And Chalon and my city, they don't have a soccer club like that. So it's basketball here. They have, good youth program. They have everything. It's perfect situation for me, and I love it here. I really do. Got a really good coach, really good organization that backs me, and, I get all the support I need. And like I said, it's championship or bust. That's the expectation for our team. Anything less than that is not a successful season for us. So, it's nice to have. It's some people look at that as having pressure, but I look at it as having like positive pressure on you. Like this is our expectation, and you can either run from it or you can go with it. Like attack it head on. And that's what we're trying to do as a team. And it's been good. We're 3-1 right now. So it's good.
Hit the nail on the head in terms of giving a really good complete answer, especially on a club that you're on right now. Again, it's like you said, is one of the more historical, notable teams in France. And, again, even if you're playing in only the second tier Pro B or whatever, if somebody were to look at that, and not understand that, first of all, there's not a lot of talent gap between the two, but also, again, as an American that's being brought in, and that's what the hopes and the expectations are, is to move up. Again, that's another thing that is just like, not only is it a more talented league than some might realize, but also there's going to be other clubs that are like that too. And
absolutely.
Just means that there's a lot of competition in A and in B. So
absolutely, for sure. Absolutely. Like you said, our team won the Pro A championship in 2017 and then got relegated. So in a couple years after that, 3 years, I believe, but just think about that. Literally won the championship, and then it's tough like that, You got in the first division now. You got teams that are Champions League teams, that are Euro Cup teams that are struggling in the domestic league and are only winning one or two. It's French basketball is really really tough. So, and it's really a lot of talent here, and in both leagues for sure. I can tell, and I enjoy it. I love the competitiveness here, so it's good.
If only they had maybe the top player in the next incoming draft, that would. Yeah, they do.
They do. They probably have the biggest talent and whenever, probably. It's
probably
crazy.
at least a couple decades. I don't think it's
absolutely. I don't know. Maybe LeBron. Maybe I would be the only other guy that I could think about. But he's sick. I've never seen somebody like him in my whole life. Watching basketball as much as I do, I've never seen somebody that tall and that skilled. That's we could talk a whole 30 minutes about that dude. He's sick. He really is.
And actually, maybe I'll leave that for an extra, because I do kind of want to ask you in terms of what it's like living there right now, knowing that, Americans are just catching on. But like some of our past guests have told us, like, dude, there's this dude that's coming, like when he was like 15, 16 and everything like that. So we've known about him for a little while. And so it's interesting to see Americans catch on now to who this guy is, and he's going to be good. So we'll do that as an extra. But as far as you living in France this season, I know you're injured and you haven't been over there for too long, but what's it been like, not only getting out in the country, but also, I think, as you mentioned in your answer, that, there's not really a soccer club there. And you're also, again, a historical basketball city, basketball club. So what's it like, not only in terms of you going out and seeing different parts of France, had some family visit you, but also what's it like in terms of you going around the town and being recognized or being welcomed?
Yeah, it's good. They definitely know who I am. It's not that big of a city, probably 35, 40,000 people. So our club is, well known. And so it feels good. That shows you, and they're passionate people. I understand they've been lucky and had all these years where they were very successful. And the only thing that they care about now is to go up to first division, so, like I said earlier, it's that positive pressure that they want it, and I can respect passionate fans, wanting people to be, play good and all that. some people, it's hard for them to, take fans talking about the game, or like, hey, when they lose, they may take it somewhat, but hey, I enjoy it. I love, the passion from the fans. It helps me out. It helps our team out. We can feel it in the games. And, but it's a good feeling. I know that they support us. I know that they're going to be there. Majority of our games almost sells out. So it's like, we have a really nice arena. So it's the total, package as being a basketball player, getting to see all of the, fans there. And, France is a country. I mean, come on now, Paris. I kind of was. I've been to a lot of places, and it's by far my favorite to be at, because it's just the history there and the buildings and the architecture and everything. And I'm just I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I say I'm blessed because I get to travel the world and do all this as my job. So I'm very lucky to be here in Chalon, and I love it here. Like I said, the fans take it up for me and Knots because they're passionate like me, and they want us to win, and that's all I care about.
And I think you did a really good job. Again, your career is only probably about 4 or 5 years in, but you've done a really good job of basically going in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Having experienced, COVID and being cut and things like that in terms of being away from your family or missing the actual physical birth of your child. But like you said, you've also dropped in there a few times that some of the situations that you've been in have been really good, and that the organizations are professional. I mean, there were at least 2 cities in there that you said are among my favorite cities to ever be in.
Yeah, I gotta keep saying that. It's tough. Yeah,
but it's one of those things of like, you do get to experience a lot, so there is a lot of positive with it as well. So it's definitely a blend, and you've done a really great job of kind of going over all that in your career so far. As we've alluded to earlier, probably have a couple of topics of extras here. So even though we're probably done with the regular pod, but you want to stick around and do some extras?
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
All right, great. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. And of course, if you're listening to us on the audio side, make sure you switch up and go to our YouTube where you'll find these extras. But again, thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Yeah, no problem, man. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you for having me.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.